I firmly believe that Britain is becoming a dumping ground for people who should just be deported. There was the case this week of a Pakistani drug dealer with 21 convictions. He's been allowed to stay in Britain because he has a son who he sees, you ready for this? Just twice a month, just sees him twice a month, and he needs to teach him about Islam. That's what the judge said. There's a case as well today of a Sudanese person with a receding hairline, full beard, really hairy forearms and legs. Apparently, he's actually a 16-year-old boy. That is according to an immigration tribunal. Now, camps full of migrants, either legal or illegal, are popping up in towns and cities right across the UK. And today, I went to visit one that's emerged in one of the most expensive, exclusive and famous streets in the country, Park Lane in London. Here's what happened. GB News viewers and listeners have been getting in touch to tell us about migrant camps popping up in their town and cities. Well, today, I'm on Park Lane in London, one of the most expensive areas in the country. Have a look at some of these hotels here. Thousands of pounds a night it costs to stay in there. Properties here are in the tens of millions of pounds. A tourist area. So for many people, when they come to visit our great country and our great capital city, this is the first thing they see. Well, follow me in here now, because we have a large encampment of migrants. And I just want to know how they got to Britain, what their situation is. Let's see if we can try to communicate with them. Hello, sir. How are you? It's Patrick Christys for Patrick Christys Tonight. Can I ask you about where you've come from originally, please? Hello. Can I just ask you how you've ended up here? What's the situation? Hello. Can I just ask you where you're from originally, please?
Go this one. No come in here.
That's
What
okay.
I come in you here? What I come in you here?
I just want to know about
No,
how you ended
cancel.
up... Am I
You
from the
cancel.
I'm not from the council. It's public land,
Please,
though.
I go. No.
Okay.
No.
All
please.
right. Okay.
I go.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to... Okay. Hello. Hello, sir. How are you? It's Patrick Christys from Patrick Christys Tonight. Can I just ask you about what the situation is here? How long have you lived here for?
3 days.
Three days? How do you find it? We'll just ask you a couple of quick questions if that's possible. Now, where are you from?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. And how did you get to Britain?
No, man.
How did you come to Britain?
Go.
Hello.
Go.
Are you from Bulgaria as well? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go.
It's okay.
Go.
Don't worry, it's okay. It's
No
okay.
photo, go.
Okay.
No
Okay,
photo
well-
here. Go another
Oh,
side.
okay, all right.
Go.
Do you think this is the way to behave at all? No?
Go.
Okay, all right. What do you do? What do you do for work?
Go. Cannot speak for you. Go.
Okay.
You mafia. You stealing. Go.
We're not the mafia, no. It's just GB News. Okay. All right. Let's just see what we can else see here, because it's quite a significant setup. They've been here for quite a while. As you can see, there's tents and camps. Now, what's happened here is a little bit further down the road, there was a camp on a roundabout, and the council closed that off, and we think that a lot of them have come here. But the problem is it's been growing and growing and growing. Hello, chaps. How are you? It's Patrick Christys from GB News. Can I ask you where you've come from? You don't have to be on camera. Oh, people are throwing things at us now. Why are you so aggressive? Do you understand that this is public land? I just want to know why you guys are living here.
You don't have money?
I don't have money.
No have money?
You want money?
No, you come here for it. I push for you. I'll give you.
No. This
Okay.
is public.
It's not going to happen.
Go!
Sorry, slow down.
Look, I'm sorry. In Britain, we don't behave like this towards the press, okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see some of the other camps over there, really. So, I do wonder what kind of job maybe that lady's planning on doing, and whether or not she's going to be able to contribute much to British society. Let's head on over here. Get much trouble from the council or from the Mayor of London? Do they ever try and move you on from here?
Yeah, they do. They already sent us to the court. I think they will come in tomorrow or next day.
So they come in, and what happens when they do that then?
What's that?
What happens? Do they come with the police? Do they try to move you on? What do they do?
But they're using the force, ain't it? They come and use the force. So you have to move.
And they try and take your tent, do they, and your possessions?
Yeah, they take everything. They throw it out. That's what they do. They say this is a rule. This is a law. You cannot do nothing. But if you ask them to rehouse here, they say no.
Me, I'm begging every day. See?
Is this what you do? So in order to make a bit of money, you have to beg.
Sorry?
In order to make a bit of money, you have to beg.
Puxa manga tipo mangue mo, make it
You police?
I just want to know what's
No,
going
you
on.
police?
I'm not
You
the police.
cancel?
No.
What they come in you the video?
Okay, so we have a free...
For me, no accept.
Well, I'll tell you why,
No,
because
I'm
some
sorry,
people
please.
have given us
No, no, no,
reports that
please.
there's a bit of trouble here from
Man,
quite aggressive
For me, I
people
speak for
who
you.
are just
I no
squatting here.
accept. No accept the video.
I'm
yeah?
starting to wonder whether or not
What
maybe
they
they're
come in
telling
you
us the
video?
truth.
What they come in you the video? What they come in you the video?
Well, just because this is one of the most
For me, no
expensive parts.
accept. No accept.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I go.
You
Leave.
want me
Long.
to? Okay. It is quite interesting, really, I think, that you've got this here, and now these are popping up, not just in London, in other cities as well. We get told all of that. And I find it quite remarkable, really, that no council or the Mayor of London or anyone would want to shut these places down or move them along, really. But anyway, there we go. But of course, this is what happened when I went back to pre-record the introduction for the top of tonight's show. Hello. Who wants to leave the CHR is a far-right fascist. All of that and much more. Well, there we go. So, right.
Here you go. There we go. Let me just douse you down there. There we go. You're right.
All right, lovely stuff.
Just done that for you.
Okay,
There we go.
yeah, fine. I hope that was water, by the way. Now, I would like to say I do feel incredibly enriched. So, there we are. But, right, well, let's go to a question immediately. I think, why not? We've got a wonderful live studio audience. We might as well use them straight away. Do you have a point on this issue of illegal or legal immigration? Go on.
Yes. Is this on?
Yeah.
Do you think that the government is unwilling to deal with the out-of-control levels of migration because we've made this country an untenable place to have a family and are therefore unable to grow our own population and therefore our own economy?
Well, it's a very good question. Thank you very much for asking it. Wow. It's already better than question time. Right, Miriam, I'm going to start with you because this is your wheelhouse. Firstly, comment on maybe anything that you've seen there about the illegal migrant camp, and then that lady's question there as well, please.
I mean, it is absolutely shocking, and the fact that this is our capital city, one of the primary tourist destinations, one of the wealthiest cities in the world, it is just extraordinary lawlessness, isn't it? And I think even just 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, it would have been impossible to imagine that. So shocking scenes. And also some of those people that you spoke to were acting as if you'd invaded their homes when obviously this is public land. So, yeah, I mean, shocking. But there's a brilliant question. I mean, the biggest pull for mass migration over recent years has been low birth rates. I mean, a shocking stat. In 1985, there were 10 20-year-olds to every 6 60-year-olds. Now there are 5 20-year-olds to every 6 60-year-olds. So our working age population is depleting and depleting. That has been a pull for migration. However, the way that we've allowed migration to happen and the fact that the vast majority of immigrants are not actually coming to work is a political choice, 100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know we've got big problems, whether that's on legal migration, on stopping the boats and deporting people. And the problem's now become so big. 1 in 13 Londoners is not supposed to be here, according to a report last year. The question becomes, how on earth do we deal with it? Trump's got his own plan, but what are we going to do?
Well, with that, we'll just say that the overwhelming majority of people there were from either Romania or Bulgaria, and I asked them, so I know that. Why can't we just send people back there?
Well, firstly, I have to admire that lady's versatility with her scarf.
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen a scarf used in so many different ways. It was round to red, round again, amazing. And secondly, she could be a bouncer. You asked the question that she could do here in the UK. Well, it's clearly Big Marcus's job, I think, is now in jeopardy. I think that's a brilliant question that you've asked, because it's become self-fulfilling, hasn't it? That because of the number of people that have come here and the infrastructure that doesn't service those people, i.e., not enough housing, not enough of any of the resources that are required for the number of people that have come here because of immigration policy. We need then more people to come here because people who live here already can't afford then to have children of their own. And it's only going to get worse unless we stop it. And you're right, that has been a political choice, unfortunately, by the government that you were a part of and by Labour.
And it was supposed to be fixed by Brexit. It wasn't fixed by Brexit.
There is also a desire as well to see our GDP increase every year. So everyone on paper could say, well, look, our economy is doing so brilliantly well. But actually, when it came to GDP per capita and people's living standards, it wasn't doing well.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know whether we can deport people. I would say we probably can't do that.
We can't deport people.
Well, I don't know how legally we would be able to do that.
You can deport people without
Romania.
British citizenship,
but
it's just
people
very
on
difficult.
holidays to Romania. I mean, you know.
Well, yeah, but aren't Romanian?
war in Romania.
But aren't Romania? It depends when they came. But if they came under freedom of movement, could they then be deported? I don't know.
Not if they filled in the paperwork at the time of Brexit, but I very much doubt that is the case. So they are probably here illegally.
But also, I'd quite like to live on Park Lane.
Yeah, I mean,
from that perspective, it's lovely.
Get down to Decathlon.
For me, one of the big things there is that, OK, so that Park Lane is, I mean, it's famous, you know, on the Monopoly board, isn't it? I mean, there are properties there that are worth tens of millions of pounds, you know, even just a night in some of those hotels like the Dorchester is probably a few grand at least. And you have got people walking up and down that road because it's a famous road. That's their impression when they come to Britain. And that camp is right there, smack bang in the middle of it. It's only going to get bigger. I don't think it gives the best impression of Britain, but it's not just Park Lane in London. Most of our viewers and listeners are from outside of London. And there are these camps popping up everywhere. I mean, Matthew, do you think it's a bit of a disgrace when we see things like that?
I think that was quite hard to watch, actually, because regardless of whether these people are here legally or not, whether they're foreign or not, they're homeless. And therefore, having been homeless, I totally appreciate someone's fear and concern when somebody dressed in a shirt, potentially in authorities coming and approaching where you do live. You maybe shouldn't be living there, but you have nowhere else to live. Successive governments have caused issues like this because of errors in the Home Office. The Eye did a report last month, and a Home Office insider had said that asylum seekers or potential asylum seekers had begun, homeless asylum seekers had quadrupled from 4,500 to 16,500 over the last 12 months because people were being sent eviction notices from the hotels they were staying in before they had the results of whether they were legally allowed to be here or not. So if you're evicting somebody who then doesn't know if they're legally allowed to work, doesn't know if they're legally allowed to stay, recourse to public funds and whatever else, then we're causing this problem ourselves furthermore. I think with regards to the lady's question, it's a totally pertinent one. If you go back to the 80s, I think we were having 2 or 3 working-age people per pensioner. We're now close to that slipping under 1. So if we don't have people coming currently, this is the sort of short-term fix, then I'm not going to be able to have people looking after me when I'm old and grey. I might not get a pension. It's going to affect every single one of us because we're totally reliant on foreign labour.
Well, why can't you be maybe more reliant, as they are in indeed certain other cultures, of your own children looking after you as you get older?
It is. It's a cultural thing. No, totally. I think that's something... it's not small C conservative, isn't it? Margaret Thatcher would speak about the family, but obviously, if you can't afford to not work, how do you therefore care for elderly relatives?
The reason more than one person in each household needs to work is because mainly, I think, the cost of housing, and the cost of housing has happened because of the number of people here. So it's
no. I mean, the cost of housing. All Western countries have seen housing price bubble from the 70s onwards because of central bank economic policy, which is that's the principal cause of housing
inflation. But also a lack of house building.
Well, that is true. But even in countries with far more housing than us and far less immigration have experienced the property boom because it's just loads and loads of cheap money.
Right. I want to just bring Nigel Nelson in now. Nigel, there's obviously what went on at the migrant camp there, but there were 2 other big immigration stories that came out for me today. So there's the case of the Pakistani chap who has committed 21 offences, the majority of them for drug dealing, Class A drug dealing, since overstaying a visa when he came here in 1998. We can't deport him, according to a judge, because the son that he sees twice a month needs to be taught about both Islam and Pakistani culture. Surely that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is if that's what happened at the immigration tribunal. The trouble with a lot of these cases is that there's a bit of disingenuousness about the reporting. So yes, that probably was part of the evidence. But we've had several cases. There was the guy who we couldn't get rid of because his child didn't like chicken nuggets. Yeah, that wasn't the reason.
But it doesn't really matter that we shouldn't have been here in the first place. Should he's an Albanian drug lord?
Well, hang on, but it wasn't the reason that he was allowed to stay. There were different reasons for that. It was Theresa May got in a lot of trouble at a Tory conference when she suggested that somebody was allowed to stay because they had a pet cat. That wasn't the reason. These are things given in evidence, but they're not the total reason. So without seeing the details there, I'm not so sure. The answer to your question, though, the answer is yes. And we brought people in, unlike what Miriam says, that the majority are working if they've come here legally.
Nigel, that's not true. The majority of visas given out in the last 2 or 3 years are not work visas. The majority are student and dependents.
Just coming to that.
It's under a third are work visas.
They're either working or they're studying. So the reason for the student visas was to keep our universities going because they pay fees of up to £30,000 to study at a British university. Now
and then get a visa for 2 years after it and then never leave.
And now we're closing off that route. How will we keep the universities going?
If it's all right, can I come back to you? Because obviously we've had a bit of a discussion off the back of what you said there. Can I ask how you feel about it? So how do you feel about... I mean, you don't have to answer, it's up to you, but how do you feel about the current levels of immigration, both legal and illegal? How does that make you feel as a person?
I feel like I'm quite fortunate that I don't think that an immigrant is coming here specifically looking to do my job, because my job is quite strange and I don't think they've imagined it. But on the other hand...
I'm intrigued, yeah. I
run the research programme for an asset management firm, so it's actually really boring, lots of spreadsheets. I mean, I love it, but it's not fun. No, but what I do see is the self-fulfilling prophecy where we allow people in to plug the gap with the fact that we've completely abandoned families in this country. What happened over the last, I would say, 20 years, so I'm not going to fully blame the Conservatives, we stopped looking at people as a family unit and we started looking at people as individual economic units. So therefore, we didn't care anymore about whether we could come together and how we were supporting each other. You brought up something very interesting as a group. I mean, actually, you brought up everything that I was thinking, so it was really wonderful.
Oh, good. We'd like to hear that. That's good.
But it was just natural to see. It was lovely to see that the real issues do come to the fore when this question is asked, because I don't think enough people are asking it.
Okay.
Because if we had more people who didn't need to work and could take care of their children and their parents, the need for care workers would diminish massively.
Do you think
and
the whole
I think
thing...
our mental health crisis would also diminish massively. The pressure on the NHS would diminish massively. There's a lot of things that could be helped and assisted.
And do you think that it would all go to pot if we reduce the number of immigration, if we reduce the amount of immigration, or do you think we'd be all right?
I don't think we'd be all right, but we're also currently not all right.
Yeah.
So it would just be a different kind of not all right.
I think it would take... It's taken 30 years to get to this point. It would take 30 years and someone with balls of steel to get us out of this and do it slowly, but we can do it.
I also just think it's quite... Personally speaking, I think it's quite a poor excuse for fundamentally changing the complete culture and way of life of a country in order to try to plug different service gaps. There must be a better way of doing that. The other question, I suppose, is at what time can you do a show every night?
Yeah.
Lovely start. Thank you very, very much, everybody. I'm looking forward to hearing much more from a variety of different people in this wonderful audience that we've got here.